You're listening to Soundside. I'm Scott Greenstone, and in a strange turn of events, it's not just me in the studio right now. I'm joined by Soundside producer Gabrielle Healy. Hey, Gabby.
Hey, Scott.
So what's happening here? Why are you joining me on air?
Well, I'm here because we need to talk about soccer.
Soccer. Okay, the American version of football. I clearly know a lot about it.
Yeah, let me help you out a little bit. To give you some backstory, I'm super excited about this because I moved to Seattle at the beginning of the summer. I'm a huge soccer fan, very loyal to my home team of Gotham FC.
Okay.
But I was particularly excited to start following the Seattle Reign, the local women's professional soccer team.
Yeah.
I saw my first game a few weeks ago, and it turned out that now is an excellent time to get into them because the Reign are playing their first playoff game of 2025 tomorrow against Orlando Pride. And the stakes are pretty high. It's win or go home.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Seattle stakes. My Seattle sports fan is still feeling PTSD from the Mariners a few weeks ago. But tell me more about these stakes and these expectations.
Right. So after kind of a lackluster performance last year, they didn't qualify for the playoffs. The team has recovered and qualified this year. And it's the last season for Reign legend Lauren Barnes. She's announced she'll retire after this year. She's been with the Reign for a really long time, over a decade, since the team started playing in 2013. And the Reign have been making some headlines for some other things as well. Head coach Laura Harvey has been implementing some interesting strategic choices, including incorporating AI into their gameplay design and tactics.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So, I mean, considering all of that, how good of a chance do they have at, actually winning?
Well, that's what I wanted to know. So I reached out to Susie Rance. She writes about the Seattle Reign for Sounder at Heart, an independent website covering Seattle's pro soccer teams.
Okay.
She says the Reign have a real shot this year. And I started by asking her about how the team got into the playoffs this year.
I would just say the Reign were consistent throughout the year. The Reign never fell below the playoff line, so they were in the hunt from the beginning. And this league, one of the things I love most about this league is it's super competitive. From third place to eighth place, we're incredibly close. So the Reign were always like in the hunt for a top 4 seed. They ultimately ended in fifth. But like I said, that one thing that was consistent for them was they were always in each game and played competitively through the whole season.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about tomorrow's match against the Orlando Pride. We got a little preview last week because they played the Pride actually in Orlando for the last match of the regular season. The teams tied 1-1. What does that match tell us about the Reign's chances tomorrow?
I think these are two really well matched up teams. They have, in some ways, very similar styles. Hardworking team, focused on being really defensively sound, focused on not giving up a lot of opportunities on the defensive end, and that's what you saw in last week's match. I do think the thing that's different going into this match is last week the Reign had 12 players coming back from international play. There was a week of break in club play. And so reintegrating those players was a little bit tough with a game on the road. Now they've had the whole team together for a week, and hopefully this means the Reign put in a more complete performance this week.
I want to talk about the Orlando Pride a little bit more, too, just because they have such a great roster. What in particular is going to be threatening to the Reign?
Yeah, well, for folks who have maybe followed women's soccer casually, you've probably heard the name Marta. She is the greatest of all time when it comes to women's soccer, a player from Brazil. She continues, no matter how she ages like fine wine, and she continues to just evolve her game. She's always going to be a threat. She's got really fun footwork. She's their most creative player. She's not their only player. Orlando Pride lost their leading goal scorer, Barbara Banda, a couple of months ago, and they've had to rethink what they look like as a team, and they've gotten back to the basics of being just a hardworking, gritty team. Everyone's going to put their bodies on the line for Orlando. So Marta's their most creative player, and then you have a lot of players who just work incredibly hard, run really hard, are going to make it really hard for the Reign.
Okay. So let's talk about a couple of our players as well, a couple of the Seattle Reign players as well. I've been paying particular attention to Sofia Huerta. She broke an NWSL record for regular season assists this year at the game I went to against the Utah Royals. She scored a key penalty. That was really cool. It's been fun to see her at matches, but the team also has some great rookies this year, right? Can you tell me a little bit more about them and how they've helped the team?
Yeah, this is a really fun mix of veterans and young talent. Emery Adamas is tied for the Reign's leading goal scorer this year with 6 goals. She's 19 years old and has tied a record for the most goals scored by a teenager in a year for the NWSL. So she's like a little mini Megan Rapinoe, really crafty on the ball. Anytime she gets the ball, even no matter if she's starting or subbing in, you get excited every time she has it. So just one of those players that causes a lot of chaos and is super fun to watch. The Reign also have Maddie Darlene, a rookie, who is super fast. You're going to watch her zoom down the left wing over and over, has a nonstop engine. She has 4 goals and 4 assists this year. She just turned 21. Jordan Bugg is a 19-year-old center back. And for folks who aren't as familiar with soccer, center back is like one of the toughest positions to play. You're anchoring the back line. Usually this is held down by a veteran defender. She just turned 19 years old. She just got her first U.S. national team call-ups this year. Just really a player who's playing beyond her years. And a whole other mix of young players beyond what I just named, but those are 3 that really come to mind for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been incredible to watch Jordan Bugg this season. And we should also shout out goalie Claudia Dickey. She's played every minute of the season, I understand. She's kept them in so many games. She'll definitely be key for sure. But let's look ahead to after this game. If they beat the Pride, there are still some real NWSL sharks out there, right? I mean, I'm talking about the Kansas City Current, perennial favorites, the Washington Spirit, really strong contenders. So let's talk about it for real. Do the Reign have a capacity to make a deep run here? What will it take?
I think that every year in the playoffs in the NWSL, there's been upsets. That's the joy of single elimination playoffs. Anyone has a chance if you stay in the games. The Reign have not lost a game if they've been leading at halftime. So if they can find an early goal and hold on, they've shown that they're a team that can do that. And yeah, anything really can happen. I think the Reign have a couple of things potentially working in their favor now. It could go any direction, but this is a team that finished second to last last year. They were going through an ownership change, which made it really hard to bring in new players. And there was just a lot of uncertainty about the team. They are established now. They have local ownership in the Seattle Sounders. They've brought in so many exciting players. They're really playing as a team. So that momentum going into playoffs is really exciting. And they want to do it all for Lauren Barnes. She's been with the Reign since the league started in 2013. Seattle is a place that she loves and has called home for that long of a period of time. She has the all-time NWSL minutes record, appearance record. She's just a legend and has led this team through so much change. And she announced she's retiring at the end of this year. So the team wants to win it all for Lou. They're going to be very motivated to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that Lauren Barnes has been in the league since it started, right? And the Reign are one of the NWSL's original soccer teams. They've been a consistent force. But I want to talk a little bit more about that change because, you know, Megan Rapinoe has retired. They moved back to Seattle from Tacoma. What else has changed and how has that impacted the team and the fan base over the last couple of years? What has it been like for you to watch them?
Yeah, this team started at Starfire Stadium in their first year, then moved to Memorial Stadium, then moved down to Cheney Stadium in Tacoma, and now are at Lumen Field. And under that have gone through 3 different ownerships. And a league that was in going through a lot of uncertainty, really low pay at the start of their play in the NWSL. And the players have really pushed collectively for a lot of really positive changes. And we're starting to see the results of that with the Reign. So now they're owned by both the Seattle Sounders and Carlisle Group. They have their own standalone training facilities at Starfire, really professional field that they train at, really great locker rooms. They have space for recovery, all that sort of thing that they haven't had historically. So to be settled in Seattle and to have a place that's really their own home, I think is making a huge difference. And we're only seeing the beginning of that.
Yeah. So whatever happens tomorrow, more to come next season and the season after that for sure is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I can't let you go without asking you about one more thing. ChatGPT Gate. Reign coach Laura Harvey recently went on the Soccer-ish podcast and admitted to using tactics suggested by the large language model in multiple matches this season. So at first, she said she wasn't getting great answers with kind of general questions about the team's identity. But here is what she asked the large language model next.
And then I put in, what formation should you play to beat NWSL teams? And it spurred out every team in the league on what formation you should play. And for 2 teams, I'm not going to say who they are because they'll know. The two teams, it went, you should play a back 5. So I did. No joke, that's why I did it. I was like, let's just see. It was early in the season.
Freaking love it.
It was early in the season, and I was like, I said to the coaching staff, I'm not joking, this is what I did. And they were like, interesting. We researched it, we did like a deep dive on it. We thought about how we could play it, and we went for it, and we liked it. It worked.
All right. So she said she did some research, talked about it with the coaching staff, but that idea was generated by ChatGPT. First of all, let's back up a step. For those non-soccer heads out there, what does a back 5 mean? Can you explain a little bit about what Harvey is saying she started to do tactics-wise?
Yeah, Laura Harvey and the Reign traditionally have played with 4 defenders along the back line. And a 5-back means that you have 5 defenders along the back line. The 2 on the outside are kind of both defenders and they get into the offense. So it can go from 5 in the back to 3 in the back when they're attacking. And historically, five players on the back line has been more of a defensive structure. You're closing out games. You're trying to hold on to a lead. That's when teams go into a 5-back formation. And Harvey was alluding to that a little bit when she was saying she hadn't really considered it before for that reason, to play it for 90 minutes.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about the reaction to this? I am seeing headlines from the New York Times, The Guardian. Like, this is getting picked up a lot of places. Tell me a little bit more about what fans are thinking about, what reaction you've been hearing, what you think of this.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is the reason why Laura Harvey wanted to become viral, but it has definitely taken off. And it was, one really quick clip from a podcast interview. I'm sure she was felt like she was talking to friends. And I would say she was asked a follow-up question at last week's press conference before their game against Orlando and provided a little bit more context that may be helpful to hear. One, this was the off season and she was just kind of bored at home playing around, and she decided to ask ChatGPT a couple of these questions. And, after she got this, you should play a 5-back against a couple of teams in the league. She said that the first thing she did is then looked and started to research it on her own and see what was out there on the internet that could tell her. It's not that she didn't know a 5-back existed in soccer. She has been a coach for a very long time. She's a very respected coach in the league. But it's that she didn't previously think it could work in the NWSL, and she wanted to talk to her coaches and get that question answered if it could. Manchester United men in England play this formation. So she knew it. She had seen it work in the men's game. She just wasn't as sure that she and her team could succeed playing this style in the women's game. But as they started to research, as they looked at the players that they had, as they talked to their analysts, they did think this was something that they could do this season. So lots of conversations with real humans after kind of this idea sparked. And she said she hasn't used ChatGPT since. It was kind of a one-time thing, and she's now questioning if she probably should have shared that with the world. But that was a little more context that was helpful to know.
All right. Okay, so tomorrow's the big game. Is there anything else that people should be watching for? Anything that you'll be particularly paying attention to?
I think that the Reign are a team that doesn't always want the ball a lot. They want to play defense and then really counter on teams. But one thing that they've been trying to do more in recent matches is really be in the game for the whole 90 minutes. And I think watching for that, if they can start really strong, this could be a really exciting game for people who are paying attention and tuning in to support the Reign. But there's always ebbs and flows in soccer. Last week, they had a lot of momentum early, and then Orlando got more of that control. So I think just watching for those dynamics is really exciting, why I love soccer. But if the Reign can put together a full, complete performance where they're in control for the 90 minutes, they have a really good chance in this match.
All right, Susie, lots to think on, lots to watch, but we're going to have to leave it there. Susie Rance writes about the Seattle Reign for Sounder at Heart, an independent website covering Seattle's pro soccer teams. Susie, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that was Gabby Healy. And as she said at the beginning, it is a perfect time to get into the Seattle Reign. That's not a suggestion from ChatGPT. It's a suggestion from me, Scott Greenstone.
Thanks for listening to Soundside. This show is only possible because listeners support us. If you're able to give right now, please check out the show notes for a link to donate. And don't forget, you can listen live on KUOW 94.9 FM Seattle at noon and 8 p.m., Monday through Thursday, or anytime online at KUOW.org.